Can AI help me with personal growth? And I think this is a great question because those of us who have been on a spiritual journey, who are seekers, we can look at AI and say, is there a way that this can be a tool for my growth? And I'm happy to say that the answer is definitely yes. Definitely yes. And I've done a lot of experiments myself along these lines. And I've found it to be a very fun exercise to use AI as a way to help me see myself in a more complete way, so that blind spots which I may be missing out on, which is really important for spiritual growth, where we are able to see where our limiting ideas, beliefs, concepts, blocks are, and engage with them, work with them, and release them. This whole process, AI can be a great tool. So one way to think about it is you can take a tool like a large language model, where you can have an interaction, and you can tell it, I want you to be a life coach. I am interested in specifically spiritual growth. And you can give it any preferences you have in terms of if you prefer a certain style of growth or a certain tradition. You can tell it, I have been following XYZ tradition. And you can tell it, I want you to, based on that, help me with my growth process. And then it'll actually start acting like a coach. And you can say, today I had a challenging situation at work, this happened, that happened, and my understanding is this person should not have done that, and your take on it. And you can say, what do you think about it? As a life coach, how can you help me see this differently? Am I missing something? What are some ways I can address limitations in my perception of the situation? So you will be surprised. It'll give you lots of great suggestions. And then you can go back and forth. You can say, well, okay, that doesn't make sense, but yeah, I like this idea. Let's explore that a little bit more. And now that you mention it, 5 years back, I had, in my previous job, had a similar situation, and this happened. Now you can get deeper and deeper. It'll point out to you in a very non-judgmental way. It's not a human being. So in some ways, for some of us, we can be more open. We're not scared of it. We can exchange our feelings and say, what do you think this means? And get really good insights. And if you feel it's wrong, you don't have to take it. So I feel in this role as a life coach is one good way to use AI. Here again, we have to be smart. Don't think of this tool as a substitute for the best therapist, for the best doctor, for the best life coach, or any other kind of professional. It's not a substitute for that. But keep in mind, this is available 24/7. This is always patient. It is always willing to work with you in a mode that you care about, in how you want to work with it. This makes it very valuable, and it gives it a unique place in terms of the expertise we have access to. I've personally had some conversations on metaphysics, philosophy, cosmology, things like this, where I've been toying with a couple of ideas, and I want to, bounce off ideas off somebody who's knowledgeable, intelligent, and willing to speak their own mind. And I've found it extremely valuable to have these conversations, because it made me think of something else that I hadn't thought of. And it's not a matter of was I right or wrong, but now I see it in a much more expansive way. So these kinds of open discussions you can have with AI. So that's one category of ways in which you can, for example, use AI. There are journaling tools available these days which have AI built in. So that's a pretty interesting way to look at it. So end of your day, you do your journaling, and instead of being a passive, here's what I wrote down, that's it. The journal is active. It's got an AI coach built in, and the AI coach will say, oh, you had a lot of fun at the park, tell me more about it. It'll actually prompt you to elicit more out of you. And as you share more, it'll probe, if you want it to, and help you get a fuller understanding of your whatever happened. This is very useful. It's active journalism, I would call it, assisted by AI. Okay, so that's just the beginning. As AI advances, I can easily see AI being augmented with biofeedback. So it could be as simple as it's looking at the facial expressions as you're interacting and the tonality of your voice. It's able to tell, are you excited, are you depressed, are you angry, are you fearful? It can tell from that, those nonverbal cues. It factors that in, not just what you typed in. Because what we typed in is just a little slice of how we are actually feeling. So it's able to deduce even from that. But imagine, in addition to that, if you feed it skin temperature, if you're able to feed it your heart rate, if you're able to feed it your brain waves. All this gives AI a lot more insight into what's going on. Is your body experiences a stress response? Maybe the cortisol levels are high because your heart rate variability is off. So it can come to many conclusions about your stress level, what your state of mind is. And the brain waves can tell a lot of stuff too. For example, if you're in a beta state versus, say, an alpha or theta or delta state, as you get more settled, you're going to go alpha, theta, delta. So it can use that information now to provide you more insights. So you don't even have to tell it a lot. You are going to get a lot of interesting information. And a whole other area now is brain entrainment or brain biofeedback, where it can take your brain waves and feed you back an audio signal, which is going to help the brain entrain to a different state. So for example, let's say you're very agitated and beta and maybe some gamma. It says, let's bring it down a little bit to closer to alpha. It can give you an audio signal, this is well known, by the way, in brainwave entrainment, where you give it, say, 400 hertz here, and let's say 418 hertz here. So the delta is 8 hertz. So the brain is going to start entraining to the difference frequency, which is 8 hertz. This is just a simple example of dynamically entraining your brain based on AI's analysis of your brainwave signal, all in real time. This is going to open up many, many fascinating areas of research and development as well. Because imagine, for example, you're processing a difficult event, some kind of traumatic event. Typically, you can immediately see all these things are shifting. And in addition to the some kind of voice-based coaching, it can also give you entrainment signals. It can give you other kinds of feedback. For example, light. Light therapy is something highly underused. When we see different lights, patterns, colors, we immediately have an emotional response to that. And in some ways, this is not new. In other ways, we hardly use this on a day-to-day basis, the average person. So imagine an AI that can also modulate lights and help you reach a state of equilibrium, which can then take you to even higher states of consciousness, because this we're just talking about entry point from getting to an excited, stressful state to a little more balanced state. From the balanced state, we can go to higher states of consciousness using these same set of tools and inputs that I just talked about. This is going to be very exciting as it develops, because the potential for us to take growth, what could take 10, 20, 30 years of lot of focus, lot of reading, lot of introspection, lot of meditation, lot of retreats, all that can happen in maybe 5 years, maybe 2 to 3 times as fast. And I can definitely see this possibility. And as growth accelerates, we also need tools to help us integrate that. And here again, AI can be very useful because it's kind of always there. And at a moment's notice, it can help me deal with the troubling upheaval that I'm having. Suddenly, I'm very disturbed and emotional. I can talk to it sitting in my car and come back to a more balanced state. So, to me, these are areas which are just super exciting that we can start using actually many of these right away. Ultimately, the bigger questions are also something AI can help us with, because when we start interacting with AI and it becomes more capable, we start inevitably asking, what makes me unique, special? What is it about me as a human being that I cherish and value truly? Is it that I can, hit a tennis ball better than most people? Is that what is really special about me? Or maybe I can program really well. Is that what makes me unique and special? What's going to happen, I would suggest, is as AI's capabilities increase and it starts being able to do a lot of these things, then I have to look deeper and I have to ask myself, oh boy, this AI can not only wash dishes, vacuum, but some of the skillful things I thought I could do, it can do that too. I have to look deeper into who I truly am. What is it about me that's so special? And there is something very unique and special that is far beyond anything we can imagine. AI is going to help us, push us in that direction so we clearly see ourselves. And that's really what the spiritual journey is ultimately about. And I think AI can be give us an incredible breakthrough in that regard. When you choose light, life becomes increasingly joyful, purposeful, and inspired. I invite you to join me to explore the realms of light, the infinite possibilities that light offers.